What's up, everybody? This is Big Sean's Detroit 2 album review. Let's go.
Gotta live for today and forget about the past. Fighting with yourself, fighting with your life.
So we are reviewing Big Sean's new album, Detroit 2. Big Sean, finally famous, Hall of Fame, Dark Sky Paradise. Those are some of the albums that I like, but one thing about Big Sean, and I think he's ultra talented, is that his albums are very long in length and sometimes inconsistent as far as they start off really strong or they're strong in some spots and then they kind of taper off. That's always been my problem with Big Sean. I think he can spit. I think he's super dope, talented lyricist when he really is honed in or he's competing against somebody. I really do think that. But I also think that, and I'm going to talk about this album, I think that sometimes he misses the mark. Is this his best work since Detroit, the mixtape that was like an album? It's hard for me to say. I've listened to the album all weekend, and I think that he has some really good songs on this album. But I also feel like he has some songs that are filler. And this album reminds me of those albums in 98, 99, 2000, where it would have 23 songs or 24 songs. And there's like 13 great ones, but then there's some songs that's like, that could have been left off for something else. And so, let's talk about it. So, some of the tracks that stick out to me are Lucky Me, where he's talking about everything on the song. He talks about having, a heart issue and Western medicine is weak, and his mom took him to the doctors, and the doctors didn't know what they can do. They was actually going to do a transplant. This is when he was 19. I didn't even know about that. And then, he's talking about having girlfriends who get canceled and have to delete his Instagram. So, he's been in a lot of relationships. For those that know about his career, either Naya Rivera, rest in peace. Now he's with Jhene Aiko. He's been with Ariana Grande. I mean, he's been with a lot of different women that are famous. And so he talks about that. Lucky Me, he really reveals himself and is very vulnerable on that song. And the beat change in there is sick. And let's just get something on the table. Hit Boy, what he's done on Nas's album and Big Sean's album, and we're going to see if he does it on Benny's album, with the production, he's killing it. Like, Hit Boy is killing it. He's 2 for 2 as far as production go. This is a grand sounding album. Like, the album sounds really big and grand, and he's provided that landscape. There's some other producers on there as well. Key Wayne, Detroit, Mike Will. But Hit Boy has, is majority of the, production on the album. And so Lucky Me, he starts off really right. Then he has Deep Reverence with Nipsey, and it sounds so good to hear Nip. It sounds refreshing to hear Nip, and sad at the same time, especially at the end of the song when he's just talking about he's going to work with Big Sean. And Big Sean, again, very vulnerable, talking about when Nip passed, he reached out to Kendrick because of their issues. And it's a very personal song, and and it sounds like Nip recorded it yesterday, talking about just stuff he when he messes dudes up, it'd be on TMZ. Like, he can't be. It's revealing because he's talking about he's him, right? He's a street legend. He's Nipsey, but at the same time, he's living his life as a celebrity. He can't really be himself. And Big Sean and him trade verses about that. And so those two songs and then the intro as well, it really was like, oh my God, okay, Big Sean. And then, and maybe I'm being biased here, I'm not a big fan of Post Malone at all. And Wolves, dope beat. Big Sean brought it. I just was not feeling the hook. I was just not feeling the Post Malone feature. It felt out of touch with the other features on the album because it felt like a real Detroit album to me. But yeah, I just was not feeling that. And then it bounces back to the Jhene Aiko song where Ty Dolla $ign, dope song. And if Jhene Aiko is your girlfriend or your fiance, your wife, whatever, you gotta have her on the album. She's beautiful songstress, and the song is dope. And one thing you guys gotta know about me about doing reviews too. I just want to put out there, I'm gonna do super underground reviews, but at the same time I'm gonna do these mainstream hip hop albums too, because I can do both, right? And I feel, and I'm not gonna be that super backpack kid that I was early in the days, where I didn't want to hear a song like him and Jhene Aiko and Ty Dolla $ign. I think that's a good song. I think the placement is right, especially after Wolves, dope song. Then Harder Than My Demons is next, dope song. That's a video for that. So in the beginning, besides the Post Malone song, I think he was very consistent. I think he was consistent in the beginning of the album. I think the album is a very Detroit album. You have Big Sean from Detroit. Besides that last song that we'll get to at the end, Key Wayne is from Detroit. There's a song with Key Wayne and Diddy. I wasn't really feeling that. It felt lackluster to me. Diddy did his Diddy thing on that. I think it could have been better. Young Thug's on the album. I didn't feel that. Like, a lot of his features, non-rap features, are banging, but some of the rap features besides the one at the end, I wasn't really feeling. Like the Diddy feature with Key Wayne. Production was dope. It was lackluster to me. The Young Thug song was lackluster to me. The Wayne song was lackluster to me. I think Big Sean's at his best without features. I mean, I think he gets to shine more. I like Big Sean when he's more vulnerable. I like Sean when he's more introspective. And of course, when he's getting his stuff off, I like that too. But when he's getting features, it almost feels like he's taking a backseat to what's going on the song. Like the song with him and Nipsey stole the show. I felt that was a Nipsey song with Big Sean featured. And it's not because Big Sean's lyrics are not good. It's just I don't feel it just, it felt like a Nipsey song to me. And maybe because that's Hit Boy production and, it's very West Coast, but it just felt like a Nip song. I think where he shines through the most, he has a song with Anderson .Paak, which is banging. He has a song with Wale that is banging. Wale's verse was dope on that one. He on that song, he talks about being conflicted, of being signed to Ye, but managed by Hove, and friends with Push, and friends with Drake, and being from Detroit but not living there. Like this whole album, he's really conflicted, it sounds like, with being a star, but also, being him and trying to find himself. This is a find himself album to me. He really talks about some real dope things on the album. He really talks about himself more than he probably ever talked about before. He talked about suicide. He talked about depression on the album. But then there's some other songs that I just feel could have been taken out. And especially with 21 songs, 74 minutes. I think you take 4 or 5 songs out, some features out, and this is his magnum opus. But I feel that this album is not lackluster at all. I just feel what he aimed for, and I don't know what he aimed for, but what he aimed for, Detroit 1 was a dope project. And a lot of his albums have a lot of features and everything. And I'm okay with features, but I want to hear more Big Sean. I want to have Sean by himself, couple features, and really have him get his stuff off more. And really show people his lyrical capabilities and more than one verse. There's not too many songs on here where he's doing 3 verses or doing 2 verses in himself. There's, like I said, a lot of features, which is fine, but I think he can do more, and he can show more of himself on that. And that's me just being critical, because I know the type of MC that he can be and that he is when he's doing things like Lucky Me. Like that beat switch on Lucky Me is ridiculous. But so one thing also about the albums, he has Dave Chappelle, Erykah Badu, Stevie Wonder on the album. The Dave Chappelle, it really came together. He was really funny. It was naturally. It was a dope skit. One of the things I would have loved, become a big Stevie Wonder fan, is for Stevie Wonder to sing. I'm assuming that on that skit that he's talking, that's him playing the piano. But yeah, I would have loved to hear Stevie on there. like I said, a very Detroit album. The song with him and Dwelle, dope song. Erykah Badu, would have loved to hear her voice over some. Yeah, now thinking about it, all those features, the Erykah Badu and the Stevie Wonder joint, I would have loved to hear those vocals instead of hearing a Post Malone or instead of hearing Wayne. And I love Wayne. I do love Wayne. But I think like those features on top of the Anderson Paak, on top of the Dwelle, you need a Jhene Aiko song on there. You just need it. I think those are dope. The Nipsey song is perfect. That could stay. But I feel he could have done more with those, and maybe they just didn't have the time. I don't know, but I did see a picture that they were in the studio together, at least him and Stevie, and that's another Detroit connection. Stevie being from not Detroit, but being Motown Detroit, being from Michigan, so that that made sense. That song, the last song on the album, Friday Night Cypher, where they take the grinding beat from the Clips, and they also take We Gon' Make It from Styles and Jada. That's an Alchemist beat, and the other beat's a Pharrell beat. That is a dope song, and it's really Detroit. Like, it's a really dope Detroit song. Everybody and their mom on it. The only person I couldn't, there's only a couple people I was like, I would have loved to see them on that song is Elzhi and Danny Brown. Those are the only two people I would have loved to see on that song. But I mean, the song's 10 minutes. I mean, I'm gonna listen to a 10-minute song, but I know a lot of people don't even like listening to 2-3-minute songs, right? But that Sada Baby's verse was dope. Royce's verse was dope, and Royce has turned into this conscious rapper where he's talking about Lior getting praised, but they making Russell Simmons rape documentaries. Like, Royce is really. I'm looking forward to his next album. But yeah, Eminem's verse is ridiculous. Like, a lot of quotables in there. A lot of quotables in Royce's verse. Big Sean's verse is dope, but and people may kill me for saying this. Big Sean's verse is dope, but everybody was looking forward to that Royce and that M verse more than anything, especially the M verse. People are looking forward to that, and so though that song is dope, Royce also has a line about Gayle and Oprah, and also Big Sean earlier in the album has a line about Gayle and Oprah also. So Gayle and Oprah are hot in these streets right now, still from what they said earlier in the year. So yeah, that song is dope. There's some verses on there that are dope. T Grizzly's on there, Sada Baby, Cash Kid, Bodie James, love Bodie James verse, Payroll, yeah, 42 Doug had a dope verse. So everybody killed it on that song, and really did their thing on that song, and got their chance to shine. Of course, Eminem had the longer verse. He killed it at the end. Royce had a little bit of longer verse. Big Sean is his song. But that's really a Detroit song, and love to see that on the album, especially an album like Detroit 2. And I think, as me being critical of some songs and still highlighting other songs, I think it's a good album. I just think that he could have done more with less, and I think he could have took some features off and done more with some of the features that he had on there. But at the same time, that's me being critical of knowing his talent. But I still think it's a good album. It's worth more than one listen. It's worth a few listens for you to vibe to. There's some really, really good songs. I'll be playing that Nipsey song all year long. Lucky Me is one of my favorite songs. Deep Reverence is one of my favorite songs. The Dwelle joint, the Anderson .Paak joint, Friday Night Cypher. Yeah. He Guard Your Heart, that's the Anderson .Paak song. Yeah, he really has some dope joints on here, and there's some songs that I would have taken off. So at the end of the day, if we rating, I didn't rate my last two. I like to have conversations, but if this is Untapped, I'm doing like a solid 4 out of 5. I think it has room for improvement, but I think it's some of his best work in years. Like I said, Hall of Fame was cool. It had some highlights, but I didn't really like the album overall. Dark Sky Paradise, I think, was a really, really good album. Detroit, the mixtape, was probably my favorite. Finally Famous was okay, but I think this is some of his best work in recent years. And again, I would just like to hear Big Sean a little bit more by himself. and have and feature him more. Right, this felt like a Detroit album, which is dope. But at the same time, I would like to hear more of Sean because I think, he came in with that Kendrick, and excuse me for that. There's a fucking fly in my room, but he came in with Kendrick and Cole and Drake, and I think he is in that class. I'm not saying he's Kendrick. I don't think he's Kendrick. I don't think he's Cole, and I don't think he's Drake. But I think he needs to be respected amongst those MCs as one of those MCs during that time who came in, because he has definitely cemented. He definitely has hits also. So much respect to Big Sean. Dope album. Good album, like good dope album, but I just want to hear more of him. I felt there's a lot of filler in this album that could be taken off and put on something else. So until next time, you guys take care. Peace and love. 100. Thanks for watching. Peace.